Now I come back to Aubrey. Aubrey, this you sent last week, so I still, I hope you're there. It was about the cartoon. So everybody gets a cartoon. Whether you are FAL or home language, you get a cartoon. Fine. You get questions like, find a visual clue to show a feeling. So a visual clue is something that you see, something that you notice when you are looking at the cartoon. Now, to show a feeling, like worried. Okay, so what are the stereotypes for worried? Okay, the caricature for worried. Okay, let's just put those two words there. A stereotype is a typical example of, like a teacher. Typical example of a teacher, she'll have her hair pulled back into a bun. It's almost long enough to pull into a bun by the time we get back to school. She'll wear glasses. She'll be very strict and very old. Okay, that's a stereotype. So stereotype is a typical example. So how do I know she's a teacher? From the pulled back hair, the glasses, the age, and the fact that she's nasty, right? Tells me teacher. Caricature is when you take one feature. So let's say the person's hair is always, very messy and stands on end. Then you exaggerate the hair. So in real life, the hair's like this. But in the cartoon, it'll be like this. Okay, so if I draw a person with hair like that standing on end, what is the person feeling? Shock. How do I know? Because this is the caricature for shock. Okay, in English we say, my hair stood up when you heard something really shocking. Like, I don't know, people were at the mall and they weren't keeping social distance and they didn't have their masks on. Your hair comes straight up in shock. All right, so a visual clue to show a feeling. So you'd look at the visual clue, which is the hair, and you'd say, this person is feeling very shocked. Worried. What's a visual clue for worry? Well, I can't draw, and Mbali will start laughing again. But worry could be, frown lines there and frown lines there, and maybe the mouth turns down below the nose. Maybe that's worried. Okay? Angry. Okay? Right. So those are visual clues. So Aubrey, is that what you said? You didn't know what to look at. To look at the visual clue. And then can I just go down to this? Because later on in the cartoon you sent, Aubrey, it said, describe the body language. Now, when they say that, that's exactly what they mean. Describe the body language. So don't say to me, the hands. Tell me about the hands. Are the hands up? What are the hands doing? Tell me. The arms. Are the arms, hanging at the sides? Are the arms... Because what is that a stereotype of? Well, I'm going to get you. I'm angry with you. It's that kind of arrogant attitude when you stand with your arms, in English, akimbo. This is akimbo, if I can get there. So if you describe the body language, try to say to me, the hands are up or are in fists. Say the person has clenched her fists in front of her face and looks as if she's about to go da-da-da. There's about to be a punch. So describe the hands or the arms or the head tilted on one side or the legs, I don't know, looking as if they're going to, spindly little legs, the body's too big. The body language, the arms are crossed, the body is turned away. What is it in the body language? So they can ask you, and they usually do, to describe the body language, and then they'll say to you, I'm going to come back to this page, but hang on. They ask you then, what does the body language suggest? Now, what it's going to suggest is how somebody feels. So if I say that the person has turned their hands into fists up here, it suggests aggression. The person is pugnacious. Isn't that a nice word? The Latin word pugna is a fight, and pugno is to fight. And so from that, English gets pugnacious. Isn't that marvelous? So fists up here. But what do fists, if I ball my fists, I clench my fists down here, that doesn't suggest I'm about to hit you. What does it suggest? Especially if I grit my teeth and it suggests frustration. So be very careful with a word like anger, because the anger here is a person about to start a fight. The anger here is anger that is controlled, but the person is furious, but is controlling that fury and is very frustrated. So look at the body language. If I've got my arms out like this, it suggests I want to hug you, and you go, no hugs. No hugs, no body contact. That's a different world. We're in a new world now. Now we're going to do something else that's polite, but we're not going to hug. So I come towards you like this. What does the body language suggest? I'm about to envelop you in a big hug and go, how are you? And you're going, So look at that body language. What does that suggest? That is defensive, protecting yourself, backing away, if I could only back away. In this particular cartoon, the character sits back at the end of the cartoon, leans back, arms behind his head. What does it suggest? Self-satisfied. I got this. Okay. So the kinds of questions that you get is describe the body language would be, let's say, 1.1. And then the next question coming immediately afterwards would be 1.2. What does it suggest? Home language, you are more likely to get this as a combined question. What does the body language suggest about how the character feels? And you'd get it as 2 marks. So foul, you very often get the scaffolded, 1-1. Home language, you get it as a combination. Right. Let's go back to what I left out in the previous slide. Okay, one visual clue to what he's feeling, like worried, and then you get why. So FAL again, this will be 1.1 and 1.2. How do you know why he's worried? Well, you've got to look at the cartoon. You've got to look. You've got to see what's going on. Home language, you're more likely to get something like, how does the visual appearance of the character, or no, account for, why? Give a reason for the visual appearance or the body language or the facial expression. Sorry, this is getting really messy and crowded. But you're more likely to get account for the character's facial expression. So you're more likely to get a 2-mark question. Foul, it's more likely to be scaffolded in that way. Then we come to the use of the exclamation mark. And I think I need to get a clean page because this has become so messy. So how do you prepare for a question on punctuation? Well, you have to learn. You have to study. So find the 12 uses of the comma or something like that. Find the uses of a colon. Make sure you know what a hyphen is and how it is different from a dash. Depending on how much time we have, I'll come back and go through this. But this question said the use of the exclamation mark. Now, I'd like you to be a little bit careful here. The exclamation mark should not show, I don't know where to put it. Can I put it tiny here? It should not show that it is loud because what an exclamation mark shows is feeling or emotion. shows emotions. All right? So let us imagine that I am that person with my fists up here, put my pen down, about to go into your face. The exclamation mark doesn't mean necessarily that I'm shouting at you, because I can be very aggressive, very quietly. All right? I can be very annoyed, very, very quiet. So think about your teachers. Often when they're shouting, they're actually just acting. It's part of the performance. Teaching is a performance. But when they're really angry, how many of them get very, very quiet? Would you like me to phone your father? No. And you go, no, actually, ma'am, it's okay, thanks. Right, so please, the exclamation mark shows an emotion. Don't say it shows that the person is shouting. It doesn't. Why am I shouting? If I yell, and I'm worried I'll burst all the sound levels here, but if I say, be careful, I'm not angry. I'm shouting because I am frightened. I am worried you're about to be hit by a car. So the shouting is not what the exclamation mark is showing. It is showing my terror. So look for an emotion: anger, terror, joy. You know, we're going back to school. Yay! It's joy. It's delight. It's not the shouting. So please, when you get the exclamation mark, be a whole lot more careful about how you answer. And then don't say, the exclamation mark shows a feeling. In which case, what do I do as the marker? Let me get my red pen back. What do? I do question mark naught. Now, why? Well, if we go back to the questions that I had about reading skills and the literary text and comprehension and all of that, you haven't shown me anything. You've shown here, if you say the exclamation mark shows a feeling, it shows me that you learnt, which is lovely. And in grade 4 to about grade 9, I would give you 1 mark out of 2 for that. But you're not, well, some of you might be in grade 4 to grade 9. But in grade 10, 11, and 12, I want something more than it shows a feeling. This is a definition. And I need to warn you that certainly in home language last year, the examiners were saying no marks for definitions. We expect by grade 12 that grade 12s can define irony, rhetorical question, the use of the colon, the use of the exclamation mark. No marks for a definition, because you are asked, how is it used? So look in the context and tell me how it's used in this context, because that exclamation mark over there is going to be different from this exclamation mark over here. Okay.